The North Carolina Governor's Working Group on Veterans, Service Members, and Their Families has deep roots in the Tar Heel State going back more than a decade. Today, it offers a home for the dozens of groups in the state focused on improving veterans' lives and provides a canopy of relief for hundreds of thousands of North Carolina vets. The GWG is a living, breathing apparatus of service, providing a space for veteran advocates to find new ways to better serve those who have served our country. The first seed of this awesome idea was planted in 2006 among the founders Flo Stein, Dr. Harold Cudler, Dr. Wei-Li Fang, and Dr. Mike Lancaster. Over the next few years, the roots of what we now know as the GWG began to take hold, and by the early 2010s, that seed had grown into a sturdy sapling. Heavy-hitting state agencies, such as the Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Commerce, had come on board. The Department of Veterans Affairs was fully engaged, and nonprofit groups from across the state were getting to know each other, meeting, and finding ways to work together to make veterans' lives better. In 2013, NC for Military Employment was created, NC for Me, an offshoot of the Department of Commerce. In 2014, the organization officially became a working group, before it had been a focus group, and a number of today's mainstay service providers got their start, among them Operation Home, a group committed to ending veteran homelessness, NC Strive, which helps address veterans' educational needs. Also, the first Women's Veterans Summit and Expo was held in 2014, and Veterans Experience Action Centers were established around the state. The following year, another group that's now indispensable was born out of the GWG, NC Serves, which today serves more than 13,000 veterans in 80 North Carolina counties. Also in 2015, the state doubled down on its commitment to vets, creating the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, which promptly joined the GWG. A large part of the group's success can be traced to its unwavering commitment to key veteran issues, like curbing veteran suicide and ending veteran homelessness. Those critical missions were at the core of the seed planted in 2006 and remain central today. In 2012 and again in 2015, the group published statewide suicide reduction and prevention plans.
These are a lot of good guys, but if they're sitting at home,
Over the past 3 years, the GWG has become a showcase for veteran-oriented videos and digital media outreach.
I am sober.
Including an original series called Words to Live By. Battle-hardened veterans speaking directly to other vets, encouraging strength and resilience. Today, the GWG meets once a month to highlight pressing veteran issues, explore new solutions to veteran problems and challenges, and build relationships that turn ideas into action. Representatives from dozens of groups across the state make the monthly trek to Raleigh for the 2-hour meeting. Many more watch online. Each meeting is streamed live, offers closed captioning, and allows for viewer engagement. New ideas like the Governor's Challenge are introduced and given space to grow. Ideas like helpncvets.org are showcased and offered up to the group. Help NC Vets does just what it says, helps veterans and their families get connected to services in the state and connect with each other. Because of these and other efforts, veteran homelessness has turned a corner over the past decade. The veteran suicide rate in North Carolina is significantly lower than the national veteran suicide rate, and the Tar Heel State has boasted one of the lowest veteran suicide rates in the Southeast for the past several years. From its humble, passionate beginnings, the GWG has grown into a mighty tree of veteran support, and it's only getting stronger. Every year, the ground in which it's rooted gets richer and its branches grow longer. New fruits of service spring up, and more relief finds its way to North Carolina veterans and their families. The North Carolina Governor's Working Group can and should be a model for how to meet that mission around the country. this we're going to use, but let's find out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Mark Edmonds. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Division of Workforce Solutions within North Carolina Department of Commerce.
Hi, I'm Martin Falls. I am the Deputy Secretary for the Department of Military and Veteran Affairs of North Carolina.
My name is Mark Belos. I'm the Director of the Winston-Salem Department of Veterans Affairs Regional Office.
Hi, I'm Deanne Seekins. I'm the Network Director for the Mid-Atlantic Network, DISN 6.
I'm Dr. Michelle Laws, and I am over community engagement and empowerment for the North Carolina Division of Mental Health, Developmental Disabilities, and Substance Abuse Services.
I'm a 28-year Army veteran. I come from an Army family. My wife, my brother, my father, my grandfather.
I spent over 30 years in the Army. I went from a private to a colonel.
My father served in the military. He served in the Army.
I have a husband who's a veteran. I have a father who was a World War II veteran who used our healthcare system. And I have a son who's enlisting in the military next week.
You're talking about my passion. That's what you're talking about, my passion. What do we do here? We advocate for veterans and for the military installations within North Carolina.
I am responsible for veterans care in North Carolina and Virginia, provide service to about 500,000 unique veterans.
One of our overall objectives and missions is to increase the usage of our benefits. We are getting out around the state to educate veterans on what entitlements they may be eligible for.
Our division has invested millions of dollars to make sure that veterans have access to the appropriate mental health, developmental disabilities, and substance use disorder services that are needed. We want to make sure that no veteran is sleeping under a bridge. We want to make sure that not one more veteran dies by suicide in North Carolina.
So our part of the Veteran Support Network, this collaborative, this network is the job piece. And so we match veteran job seekers with employers. That's what we do. Any veteran that comes into the office gets priority of service. So they go to the front of the line for any job seeker services. They go to the front of the line for any funded training. They go to the front of the line for any employment services and to get them jobs.
We work hand in hand with Commerce, Department of Commerce, and Workforce Solutions in particular.
We can't do it on our own in the Department of Veterans Affairs. We have to collaborate and work with other people.
The Governor's Working Group is a great venue. You've got federal, state, local government, you've got civic organizations, you've got veteran service organizations, such as, the Veteran Foreign War, the American Legion. All those are partners.
One thing that sets veterans aside, the whole veteran community, is we leave no man or woman behind. And I think everybody takes that seriously. And so when you look at groups like the Governor's Working Group, it allows us all to come together and really help veterans that are in need.
What I've really appreciated about our Governor's Work Group is we've been able to walk hand in hand and focus on issues, suicide prevention, suicide awareness. That is something that no one healthcare system, no one community partner can solve alone.
It's really exciting. Sometimes being with the organization I've been with for so long, you get used to doing things the same way. This is an opportunity to do things differently.
And one of the things I'd like to say as a result of the Governor's Working Group is North Carolina is now below the national average of veteran suicide rate. Second thing is North Carolina is below the national average of homeless veteran rate. So I can only attribute that to information, education, and collaboration.
Everyone has their niche, right? No one knows everything, and some of us specialize in very narrowly focused areas. And we believe that if we can pull all of these resources together and this expertise together through sharing of information through the North Carolina Governor's Working Group, sharing information, letting people know across the state what programs and services exist, then that's really key. That's critical.
Well, first of all, good afternoon, everyone. And as usual, I want to bring you greetings from the 75th Governor of the state of North Carolina, Roy Cooper.
Every day, there's a win somewhere, if you look at it. And that win keeps you going the next day, and the day after and the day after, that yes, perseverance does work, and it makes it all worthwhile.
Let me try that again. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for potentially our last virtual North Carolina Governor's Working Group. Today, we're going to talk with some of our subcommittees, and we have several special guests for you. You can find us on Facebook Live at the Governor's Institute, and if you would like closed captioning, please click on the link here. Meeting and agenda minutes are also on ncgwg.org. Minutes and group updates. You can also find all of our previous presentations there if you would like. First up today, as always, welcome to Secretary Walter Gaskin. Welcome, Mr. Gaskin. Thank you for being with us.
Again, thank you very much. It is great to be here, and I'm glad that we are having this collaboration and connecting. What I envision that we will do with our working group is that to bring all of these experts and collaboratively discuss how to work towards solutions. So thank you for coming. You're going to hear some great information from the various subcommittees that we have divided into doing that. And we hope that when we have our working group, we will be coming together to explain what solutions, what problems that we have solved, and how to connect our veterans and militaries and their families with these solutions. Again, thank you and welcome to the working group.
Thank you, Secretary Gaskin. I was writing as we were watching that video, one person, one nonprofit, one group, one organization can't, but a system where these can come together can. So thank you for leading us to this area. Next, I have a special announcement from Mr. Victor Kaczynski. Hope I did not butcher your name, from the AMVETS. Mr. Kaczynski.
Well, thank you. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
All right. Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to join all of you this afternoon. My name is Victor Kaczynski, and I am a Veterans Career Advisor with NC Works Career Center, Lenoir County. I cover Lenoir, Wayne, and Greene counties here in North Carolina. However, I'm also the chairman of the Veterans Employment and Civil Service Committee for the Department of North Carolina AMVETS. This afternoon, I have the distinct honor and pleasure of letting the members of the North Carolina Department of Military and Veterans Affairs Governor's Working Group know that this group has been nominated and selected as the recipient of the 2021 AMVETS Veteran Friendly Employer of the Year Award for the state category of 751 employees or more. I will be presenting this award to Mr. Terry Westbrook on behalf of this fine organization during the Department of North Carolina AMVETS State Convention Awards Banquet, which is scheduled to be held on Saturday, June the 4th in Greensboro, North Carolina. Congratulations once again for the great works that you do for the state of North Carolina and for the veterans of our state. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us, and thank you for this wonderful recognition. Up next, Mr. Terry Westbrook, Assistant Secretary at the North Carolina Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. Mr. Westbrook.
Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate it. Victor, thank you so much for contacting us. I hope everybody understands just how prestigious this award is. This is kind of an affirmation that we're trying to do the right thing, and we're becoming a lot more ingrained in the events that we're trying to work with and get people doing. So we're highly honored by this award, and I also understand that the North Carolina Department of AMVETS will be submitting us as their registrant for the national award in this category. So indeed a big honor, and it's certainly my pleasure and honor to go and accept this award on behalf of the Governor's Working Group. So next slide, please. Okay, so as you see, we're still moving right along. Our legislative agenda is moving. As we all know, the General Assembly is in session. I even noticed today that the governor's appropriation, or the governor's recommended budget, has been submitted now, so it's in review. It's going through its chain. There's also some other documents that are moving through the General Assembly with a lot of emphasis on veteran situations. So we're excited for our part in that, and being able to talk to the General Assembly about it. But we certainly lean on everyone to also make those same connections. The North Carolina Veterans Council has scheduled their next meeting for July 25th. That'll certainly be after the General Assembly has dismissed for the year, but they are developing what they're going to be moving with for the long session that starts they'll start in January next year. They are planning on this meeting to be both virtual and in person. Once the link to that is approved, I'll make sure that the director of the Veterans Council puts that out, but we will plan to be there in person if we can. The North Carolina State Veterans Home in Kernersville, as everyone knows, we are anxiously awaiting receipt of a certificate of beneficial occupancy so we can actually start working inside the building. Our nursing home management services company has started hiring their staff. They're getting them trained and going through orientation. We have hired a veteran service officer that will be working there. So all of the initial prep is going on as much as possible. Like I said, the only thing we're waiting on is our certificate of beneficial occupancy. So, as the secretary alluded to earlier, Crystal did, we have kind of redefined the governor's working group a little bit. We're going to divide up the working group into several subcommittees based on some subject matter areas where we think we need to provide specific emphasis. And all of those subcommittee chairmen are going to be briefing you today about 5 minutes on their particular subject area, what they consider their mission to. Secretary Gaskin has sent them some guidance on moving forward, and we on the governor's working group, all the co-chairs have all weighed in on that. So we will, as we go to that, I'll introduce them during that segment. Next slide. All right, so several things that are going on right now. We have multiple construction projects going on in both the state veteran homes and veteran cemeteries. A lot of spending, a lot of design work, a lot of actual construction. It goes all the way from roofs on buildings to expansions of cemeteries. So a lot going on there. The Veteran Affairs Commission will be meeting soon. The Chief of Staff of the Department of Military and Veteran Affairs is now the point of contact for the Veteran Affairs Commission. So he'll be managing that connectivity between the department and them. But I just wanted to let everyone know that that next meeting is scheduled in July. The date hadn't been exactly established yet, but I'm sure they'll be putting that out soon. We talked about Cartersville already. I will put out information on the grand opening as soon as we're able to establish it. We're obviously very close, but we've got a little bit more work to do. Both the National Association of State Veteran Homes and the National Association of State Directors of Veteran Affairs are meeting this summer with their summer conferences. They're meeting in back-to-back weeks. The DMVA will be attending both of those conferences. So there's a lot of best practices associated with how those guys do business. So we'll be attending that and making sure we're part of the process. The new subcommittees, once they're introduced today, you'll start hearing stuff from them on a regular basis as they're working throughout the summer and the fall this year. They're all going to be generating products, whatever they're doing, whatever they need to do, what they recommend, and we will be anxiously awaiting their information on that. And as we said earlier, we intend for the Governor's Working Group to be conducted in person in June. I think that the Governor's Institute has already secured location for a couple of the meetings coming up, but we will certainly be publishing that information soon. But it's exciting that we have an opportunity to get back together. Next slide. So takeaways. Number one, our skilled nursing care in our state veteran homes continues to be significantly more adept at controlling and managing their COVID-19 issues. They have consistently been less than 1% positivity rate for the last 20 to 25 weeks. So they've done a great job with that. Part of that's based on, just like you see over here, the governor's 3 W's, make sure you watch, make sure you're washing your hands, make sure you're staying vigilant. But the big thing is that they're very on top of that process and everything we need to do to keep their residents in our homes comfortable and safe and secure. As I said earlier, there's a lot of legislation pending. The short session's supposed to be short, but there's a lot going on in the short session this year that has to pertain to veterans. There's several different bills. There's an omnibus bill that the department has been part of associated with licensure. There's the governor's recommended budget. There's some appropriation bills. There's a couple other things working. So we're going to be very busy keeping up with that for the next month or so. And then the last thing is that, Secretary Gaskin's made it very plain and clear. We're going to empower these subcommittees to do some transformative work. They're going to not only talk about what they have the capability to do now, they're actually going to talk about how they do it and who's taking advantage of it. And are we touching everyone? And is everyone that should have an opportunity for this getting to it? So there's a lot of work, and I'm expecting great things out of every one of them. So with that, I will leave you for whoever's next.
Thank you so much, Terry. Next, we have a special presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment. And to everyone's surprise, here is North Carolina's new Welcome Home video.
Hi, everybody. Governor Roy Cooper here. We owe a deep debt of gratitude to our veterans who have fought for our freedom and safety here and abroad. You and your families have made tremendous sacrifices to give my family and me our freedom, and I'm so grateful. North Carolina is the most military-friendly state in the nation, with almost 800,000 veterans who call our state home. When veterans decide to leave active service, it's our obligation to help them transition to civilian careers and get access to the support that they've rightfully earned. I established the Governor's Working Group on Veterans Affairs, which focuses on job creation, health and wellness, as well as legal and financial services for our veterans. We're committed to continuing to ensure that our state is a great place for military families to live and work. Veterans, we are forever grateful. Welcome home.
Welcome home, warrior. With so many options, it can be overwhelming sorting through what resources and benefits you may qualify for. NC Serves is there to help you navigate every step of the way and connect you with everything you have earned through your service to our nation. Our Veteran Resource Guide has over 200 pages of federal, state, local, and nonprofit programs to assist you and your family.
Because of technology, we're all just bombarded with endless information. You can Google something for veteran services, and it's just mind-boggling. And people are busy. They're going to work, they're going to school, they're raising a family, they're trying to do their hobbies, they're trying to have a good work-life balance, and they're trying to navigate a resource, and they get frustrated and often give up. So when you have a central point like NC Serves, you come in and say, I have been very frustrated getting connected to this particular resource. Our community coordinator will say, understand, what do you need, and we're going to get you there, and we're going to streamline it. When you walk in our doors or get connected to us virtually, we can get you all your services, and we're going to be honest with you about what services you can and cannot get, what you're eligible for. Maybe you're not qualified for that service, but our main services: housing, shelter, employment, benefits, navigation, social enrichment, legal, substance abuse, counseling, mental health, physical health, you name it, and we're going to find it. And if you don't think anybody can help you, I actually ask, please ask us. You don't know until you ask and until we've navigated through the community. And if it's a need that's not being met, we want to know that. Our partners are amazing. They'll come together and say, we're going to find a way to meet that need. Never underestimate just how committed communities are to taking care of veterans and their families. Not handouts, taking care of them. Giving them great employment opportunities, affordable housing opportunities, access to good medical care, those quality of life issues, those needs that everyone wants. I was surprised just how robust it really is. And then when you ask a community partner, most of the time they say yes, let's help, let's partner. You may land a good job, but after a while, you're missing what got put into you, which is this sense of mission. And then your purpose. It's like, well, I have a good job, but I don't feel that same purpose anymore. And even veteran spouses will tell us that. Getting connected to us, we'll get those social connections to where if you want to volunteer, great. If you just want to get on a in-person or a virtual coffee, we have all those options to where you kind of get that purpose again when you come back into the community. And you get connected with fellow veterans, and it's often people you knew and even served with. It's a small military in the grand scheme of things, and that sense of connectedness is what we want you to have. I love this because the community has come together. This work is hard. It's tough. It's tough on us. We focus a lot on self-care and taking care of our local team at NC Serves, but also our providers. But at the end of the day, we can say, hey, we made this community better, one veteran at a time.
Welcome home, warrior. Your service to our country came with great sacrifice and quite a few benefits. The Veterans Benefits Administration and our network of state and county veteran service officers across North Carolina are ready to help you identify and file for all the benefits you may qualify for.
Veterans, or rather soldiers, men and women, we're not accustomed to asking for help. We just jump in and do it. However, that could be a barrier for you coming into the office. We want you to come into the office today to assess just what's going on with you. We want to take care of you now.
The VA Regional Office assists veterans transition from military to civilian life. We assist with disability compensation, pension, education, veteran readiness and employment, and home loans.
Some services that a lot of veterans don't think of are the women's health. I'm very proud that in 2014 that they're open an office specifically for us women in our health issues, because we too do serve this country.
I'm most proud of assisting veterans that live within our community. These are our store clerks, our postmen, the people that we interact with every day, and we assist them to help better improve their quality of life.
For the veteran that is just transitioning out of the military today, we would like to meet them where they are. However, for that veteran that have been out for a number of years, we would also like to explain and or get him or her into the office for those benefits he or she has earned.
One of the biggest challenges is that the VA system is quite confusing because we have so many benefits to offer, which makes it overwhelming to decide. You can meet with us and we could help navigate through those and see what you're eligible for.
Please visit one of our offices because you have earned these benefits. If I had to give a veteran any advice, one thing would be to register at the nearest veteran healthcare facility or seek medical attention through your private provider. Transitioning from military to civilian life is very tough. Please allow us to service you as you have served and protected this country.
Welcome home, warrior. For many service members, continuing their education is at the top of their list. When separating from the military, you may have questions about higher education. How do I find the right school? How do I pay for school? What about my GI Bill? Here in North Carolina, you have many options, many of which can be found in our Veteran Resource Guide. Our friends throughout the UNC system, our community colleges, and private universities are waiting to help you make your next chapter a successful one.
Walking in the doors can be pretty daunting, especially as you look at that transition process. So Daniel and I both going through the transition process ourselves, understand firsthand, some of those challenges, and they're hard to navigate. So starting at a university, it's who do I talk to, where do I go? That is why we exist. We're here as kind of that case manager, that first line of contact for them. So veterans, being a non-traditional group by nature, they have unique experiences. So I think maturity goes along with that, and it's not just an age thing, but it's an experience thing. So they're more worldly in their views. They have families, a lot of them. They live in homes, they have mortgages, they have full-time jobs. So the way in which we serve our veterans and the military families, it's going to be much different than what it looks like for a traditional student here at the campus.
Here at NC State, I work with our Veterans Education Office. Primarily here, we kind of are the administrative arm of really supporting our students on campus, meaning we can help our military-connected students with military withdrawals, advising questions, registration questions, GI Bill benefits. So if they're using benefits, we can assist them through the enrollment process and receiving those awards that way. And that's really what our focus is to kind of really support them holistically through an administrative process.
Veterans that come to Wake Tech find a place at the center where they can chill. They can meet like-minded veterans, they can discuss their concerns, they can receive assistance if needed, and then they can be successful in what they want to pursue. We are here with a veteran zone so that they can come in and talk to some of their fellow veterans. They can learn about all of the programs that we have. We have Student Veterans of America Club. We have a Salute, it's a Veterans Honor Society, and we're here to help them be successful, but also that they can be with a group that they can relate with.
The Veteran Zone is where it's at. I mean, because it's as real as you can be in there. You're surrounded by a bunch of combat veterans. We all done the same thing. We get each other. I was lost when I first got here. I was scared, and this is where my place of comfort was to be around other like-minded people.
I think important to us is treating every veteran and service member and family member separately. They're individuals. While each of them do have common transitional challenges, they're all unique in terms of what they're going through, and if we treat them that way, then they're going to respect that, and they're going to reach out for us for assistance when they need it.
Welcome home, warrior. What's my next career? Upon entering civilian life, it may be difficult to figure out what's the next chapter of your career should look like. Workforce Solutions and NC for Me have a wealth of resources to get you the tools, the training, and information you need to find a new career with purpose and potential. Employers across the state of North Carolina are eager to hire our veterans.
I believe that if you have served this country, you can certainly serve in any company in this country.
NC for me understands that it's difficult to transition out of the military into a career in the civilian workforce. So we have created NC for me to make that transition easier. We are going to allow any of our veterans, our Guard and Reservists, our spouses, and our transitioning service members to connect to companies across North Carolina by simply putting their information into our career connection tool. NC for me employs a team of individuals that are veterans, that are military spouses, so they understand what you've done in the military, they understand the sacrifice that you have made, and they're really good at educating employers on the value proposition of what the value really is with military talent.
We are North Carolina Career Center. In general, we provide a variety of services, employment services, career assessments, assistance with resume, assistance with workshops, and any of the employment services that we have to offer.
A lot of veterans don't seek help. And I think by having an organization like NC Works and Career Center with all the programs, it's another outlet to help them. A lot of times it's easier to blame somebody for your mistakes. And it's kind of hard for you when you're blaming so many people to, like, you know what, hey, I need to take a step back and look at myself in the mirror and seek out that assistance. And I think by, this organization, it's the gateway. It's just, it opens up the doors. Hey, here are some things that we can do for you. If we can't do these, then here go other avenues and other resources that we can provide for you.
We have a team of individuals that understand you, that are veterans, that are military spouses, that help create that connection with employers across the state. So we make sure you're taken care of from the minute you come into our organization and working with us to the minute you exit, and hopefully grab that career that you're going to love for the rest of your life. North Carolina believes that if we trusted you with our country, we can certainly trust you with jobs across our state.
Welcome home, warrior. North Carolina is fortunate to have 4 VA medical centers, over 24 VA clinics, 6 vet centers, and many state and community partners available to assist you with medical care that you are entitled to for your service to our nation. Don't hesitate to reach out. They're all there to serve you.
The state of North Carolina is committed to being the most veteran-friendly state in the U.S. Veterans who live in North Carolina may be eligible for care from the Veterans Health Administration, from non-VA resources, or from some combination. If someone is enrolled in VA healthcare, they should expect to get primary care services, and the primary care doctor can then help them figure out if they need access to specialists. I think one thing that younger veterans don't realize is that they are as eligible for health care as some of the older veterans or those that they've seen that are suffering from physical wounds of war. There are also the invisible wounds of war, and one of the things that veterans should think about is the toll that service has taken on them psychologically and whether that's something that needs to be investigated.
Here at the Vet Center, we do individual counseling, we do marriage counseling, we do family counseling, and we do group therapy. When a veteran gets out of the military, there's a lot of difficulty transitioning from being a veteran to being a civilian. The Vet Center can walk you through that process and get you to where you need to be. Not only do we serve veterans, but we serve active military, including Guard and the Reserves, as well as their families. And one of the new services that the Vet Center offers is bereavement counseling for family members of anybody who's died while serving on active duty.
One of the hallmarks of the VA is that primary care serves as the anchor for the whole system. If a veteran seeks health care at the VA, they will be assigned a primary care provider who will perform a comprehensive assessment and get them connected to the resources that match their needs. Behavioral health care is now integrated into primary care.
At the Stephen A. Cohen Clinic here in Fayetteville, we service post 9/11 veterans, active duty service members with a TRICARE referral, Guardsmen, reservists, and their family members, all regardless of role or discharge status. If they've worn that uniform for more than a day, they're definitely welcome to our care. As soon as they walk through the door, they've made the first step towards their mental health issues. Here at the Coin Clinic, our clinicians provide brief evidence-based, client-centered therapy all on an outpatient basis, as well as we provide case management services and resource referrals for things that are like finances, education, housing, and as well some of our clinics do provide transportation to and from the clinics within a 30-mile radius. We also provide child daycare in certain clinics.
It shouldn't matter whether a veteran lives close to a VA hospital or a VA clinic, or whether they live in rural parts of the state. They deserve and are entitled to excellent health care. A lot of new technologies have come into play so that veterans can access care through their home.
The Coin Veteran Network, or CVN, telehealth video therapy is what we use. It essentially creates our clinic becoming a clinic without walls. This allows our clients to be able to receive care right from the comforts of their own couch without having to leave their own home.
It's important for veterans to remember that they serve their country with distinction. No matter which era they served in, what branch they served in, or what their role was when they were active duty, healthcare benefits are important and will partner with you in your journey.
All right. Wow, that was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today. I hope everyone shares that video. I'm sure there'll be a link sent out or maybe in the chat. If you have any questions about anything you saw in the video, please put those in the chat on Facebook. We will get those answered for you. Next up from the Vision 6 Director, Mr. Paul Cruz.
So let me just do a check, Crystal. Can you hear me? Because I'm having video problems.
I can hear you.
All right. Okay. Well, maybe it's starting now. I don't know what's going on. But good afternoon, everybody. Just a brief update from the Vision office here in Durham. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. Okay, there we go. So a couple of updates that I wanted to give you about some leadership changes here at our network office, as well as across the field. One of which is we've just recently had, we've had some vacancies here in the senior leadership team at the Vision. One that's not mentioned on here is actually Dr. James Goff. Jim is our new Chief Medical Officer. That position has been in an acting function for a while, and we're happy to have Dr. Jim Goff here. He is coming to us from the Albuquerque, New Mexico VA. He is a vascular surgeon by training, and he is also a former United States Army physician as well, in vascular surgeon. So we're glad to have him here. Another addition is our new Deputy Network Director, Mr. Jonathan Benoit, who began actually just a couple of days ago, back on Monday. He is joining us from the Tampa Bay VA Medical Center. We're excited to have him here. He's worked through several different organizations in the VA, and he is a Navy veteran, so go Navy. We have a change at the Durham VA healthcare system where I came from. We finally have a replacement, and that is our new executive director, Dr. Alicia Smith, who arrived this Monday as well. Dr. Smith is coming to us after being the director for the Phoenix VA for a number of years. And before that, she worked at the DC VA and was in the private sector for about a number of years. I'll just leave it at that. She'd kill me if I said how many years. We do have some vacancies right now. Mr. Dan Deeker moved on to a new role. He left probably about a month ago and became the new director for the Tennessee Valley Healthcare System, which is located in Nashville, Tennessee. As we go through our recruitment efforts, Dr. Jeffrey Morgan, who was the chief of staff, is actually serving as the interim medical center director. Another departure, which actually probably happened a couple of months ago, I don't know if we've mentioned it on here, but is that at Salisbury, Mr. Joe Vaughn departed here and went to Memphis, where he's the medical center director there in Memphis. And we are beginning we're through the recruitment process, made a selection. I'm hoping I can make an announcement soon, as long as everything's tidied up. But we should have a new medical center director for Salisbury, hopefully by the end of summer. During this time, the interim medical center director is actually Mr. Ron Johnson. He is the normal sitting medical center director for the Richmond VA in Virginia. But he's come down to fill this slot, and we have somebody covering for him, Mr. Jim Dudley, covering for him up in his location, up in Richmond. Little bit about COVID, just to let you know, by the way, it's still around here in the VA. It is definitely still around in our healthcare systems. I'm sure if you've been in any hospitals, hospitals still do require, at least in North Carolina, most of them require that you do continue to wear face masks. It's the same thing for the Veterans Administration, all 4 of our hospitals here in North Carolina. We're following CDC guidelines, and until the transmission rate drops lower here in North Carolina, we are still going to have those restrictions on some places. It's a visitation. You need to work that out individually. And also possibly reductions in the number of people coming into the hospital. We ask that everybody who goes to a VA facility self-screen themselves to make sure that they're not having any kind of upper respiratory problems that may be COVID, or if they are, to let somebody know at the very beginning so that you can be COVID tested. Do want to remind you that COVID tests are available. They are available. You can get them through your medical center, or you can also work through the post office and the different programs to be able to get the COVID testing. So those are available. Also, all of our sites have the vaccine still available. We encourage you, and I encourage you and your colleagues to get vaccinated if you have not. If you're eligible for one of the boosters, and I think pretty much everybody is by now, encourage you to get a booster and really encourage you to get out there and get that done so we can try to knock this out and hopefully keep you from getting sick. We are still seeing a number of people that are contracting the disease, but it is not as severe. We're not seeing the hospitalizations and certainly not the deaths that we'd seen in the past. So it is still amongst us. We need to continue to do everything we can to try to eradicate this as much as we can. I don't know if we can really eradicate it, but to address it. So encourage vaccination. And when you're in a crowded place, I do encourage you to still wear a mask. It is optional, I know, in a lot of places, except for in a VA medical center facility. All right, next slide, if you could, Crystal. So there are a few things that are going on. One of which, just a friendly reminder that Monday is Memorial Day, and I'll be with you and all in a collective spirit as we take some time to solemnly remember those who fought and died for our way of life and our freedom and the opportunity to live our life to the fullest. I actually will be, if you're with Lois here in Durham County, I'll be there in the morning presenting at a Memorial Day service on Monday morning. So hopefully you take a day of rest and think about the price. A couple of other things, just I can't go on as a healthcare person and not talk about World Tobacco Day on May 31st on Tuesday. We do really encourage folks to put their tobacco away. It is still a major influence on health. So I want to encourage that. I can't get away without saying, hey, May is National Nurses Month. Nurses do a lot of things for all of us, and we want to make sure that we recognize those. So if you know of somebody going in, or if you know of a nurse, please thank them for the care that they provide. As we move into June, getting into June is Pride Month, which recognizes and counts that the VA is meant to inspire, educate, and inform veterans that the VA provides sensitive and respectful environment where they can feel comfortable talking openly with their VA providers and have access to care. June is also PTSD Awareness Month, so I want to make sure that you think about that. We're going to be seeing a lot of information about raising awareness and making sure that folks are engaged in understanding the trauma of PTSD. And of course, remind you a new, well, not this year, it actually started last year, but a new federal holiday is Juneteenth. It will be observed on June 20th this year. It will be a federal holiday, and all of our facilities will be closed. Something else that is mentioned here, I won't be very long about it, but there is a change coming to the crisis line. No, we've had the crisis line number for a long time, and it is getting ready to be changed to a 3-digit number, very much like 911. There'll be more information coming out about this, which will be converting over on July 16th. One of the things I did hear about today is that the old number, so if you have marketing material or anything like that that has the old crisis number, crisis hotline number on it, that number will remain intact and will always be there as well. So just another thing. Crystal, next. And so just to leave you with a few things, toxic exposure information. There are some links here. Want to make sure that you're aware of that. The VA is right now standing up and working through its registry and revalidating those folks that have registered and making sure that they're covered under this new standard. There is a link here for our vaccinations. And as always, want to make sure that you know how to get in touch with mental health services. Those numbers are available to you as well. And I think that's really it for us, kind of short. So thank you very much, folks. I'll go ahead and hand it back to you, Kristen.
Thank you so much, Paul. It's always good hearing from you. Appreciate all the updates. Next, we have Renee Rader, Interim Deputy Director and Chief Operating Officer for the Division of Mental Health, Developmental Disabilities, and Substance Abuse Services at the Department of Health and Human Services here in North Carolina. Renee, welcome.
Thank you so much. It is always a pleasure to be here, and I am honored to represent the Department of Health and Human Services with these updates. Wanted to just draw your attention real quick to our May Mental Health Awareness Month webinar series. So May is almost over, and we only have one webinar left, and that's tomorrow at noon on the importance of addressing the intersection between the mental health and criminal justice system. We'll be having a panel discussion with some of our community partners that work to meet the needs of this specific population. Information on how to join this webinar is on our DMHDDSAS webpage. All of the webinars that we do are recorded, and you can access them at any time on that webpage. So if you missed out on this one, or you missed out on some of our previous ones, which were really excellent, you can always check them out there. We did do one of the events on the 988 implementation that we are supporting here at the Division of Mental Health. So if you're interested in more information about that, certainly check that out. And I just realized as I'm looking at this other event listed here, the celebration of Oxford Houses, this event has already occurred earlier today, but that one will also be recorded so that you can watch it on our website. If you aren't familiar with the Oxford House concept, it is a model for a self-supporting, democratically run drug-free home for people in recovery from drug and alcohol addiction. Next slide, please. So as mentioned earlier about the 988 implementation, North Carolina was recently awarded a $3.3 million SAMHSA grant to support workforce development related to this implementation. So as mentioned earlier, 988 is the new 3-digit dialing code for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline starting on July 16th. Calls to this number are routed to a crisis center here in North Carolina. People can access the call center 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can call, talk, or text. Callers in crisis can get emotional support or referrals to community services. They can also help people who are in a very serious crisis situation by connecting them with mobile crisis providers or contacting EMS or other first responders. It is expected nationally that the number of calls to this number is going to increase by about 30% with the new implementation of the easier number. And so the funds from this grant specifically are going towards supporting workforce development. Always have to mention tailored plan implementation. DHHS works continually to move forward towards the implementation of tailored plans to replace the LME-MCO systems under Medicaid transformation. This has been a huge undertaking over several years, and it has really been a joint effort with multiple DHHS divisions and community partners. But we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're on track to implement the tailored plans on December 1st of this year. The other thing I wanted to just draw your attention to quickly is the newly released DHHS blueprint on building and maintaining a strong public health workforce. So this is a paper that provides an overview of select programs within our Division of Public Health, aiming to strengthen that workforce and support workforce development while reducing disparities and inequities. So investing in our health workforce is a top priority for the Department of Health and Human Services. And there will be some efforts around this that will include workforce development efforts. If you'd like to learn more, I included the link below. Next slide, please. So we have several funding opportunities that I've listed here. I'm not going to take up your time by reading all of them to you, but I really encourage any veteran serving organizations to review the RFA page on the DHHS website regularly. Veterans are a priority population for the Department of Health and Human Services, and we welcome the opportunity to partner with you to meet the behavioral health needs of veterans and their families. We are getting a lot of questions about the $15.7 million that was recently announced in a request for application around the opioid settlement dollars. This is only a portion of the overall settlement dollars, but this is what's available to us right now. The request for application was open to community organizations to provide services to people with opioid use disorders who are either in active use or in recovery. The RFA itself allows for activities such as transportation, employment for people in recovery from opioid use disorders. It is also supporting evidence-based treatment for people with opioid use disorders who are also engaged in the criminal justice system. It's supporting evidence-based practice for people who have experienced an overdose related to an opioid use disorder. And then finally, it is looking at evidence-based models for housing for people with opioid use disorders. And finally, I just want to mention that we did make 5 awards for $4 million to comprehensive community behavioral health clinics. These are integrated care clinics within our communities. There were, I think, 4 of them were existing comprehensive community behavioral health clinics that are expanding, and one of them is new and just getting started. Next slide, please. And I would be remiss not to mention that kids ages 5 to 11 are now eligible for their COVID-19 boosters. It's very important. Visit myspot.nc.gov to locate a provider near you. And that is all of my updates. Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate all that information. Next up, I have Mr. Victor Glover, State Director for Veterans Employment Service. Welcome, Victor.
Thank you, Crystal. Good afternoon, everyone. Just have 4 things I'd like to bring to your attention, some of the successes happening across the state in the workforce. Just like to boast and brag once again about the milestones we have in North Carolina. 17,428 jobs were announced this month. That's compared to just a little over 9,000 jobs the same time last year. And in all of 2021, we had a little over 24,000 jobs that were posted and announced. And we're not halfway through the year, and we're almost at 20,000. Hopefully we'll have 40 or 50,000 jobs that have come through the Department of Commerce for our North Carolinians. Next slide, please. What's happening now? Well, I wanted to boast and brag and talk about the NC Job Ready program once again. It's Governor Cooper's workforce development initiative to ensure that North Carolinians are ready for the jobs of today and jobs of tomorrow. There are 3 specific areas, 3 key points in this particular program: skills and education attainment, employer leadership, and local innovations. Next slide. Also like to share another program that we're really proud of and that's really working well for North Carolinians that are in our veterans population is we have created a veterans portal. It provides online information for our North Carolina veterans to find jobs. The veterans portal leverages the critical skills and experiences that we gain while in military service and compares them with high demand jobs. It was developed by the North Carolina Commerce and designed specifically for veterans in mind. The portal features tabs that provide quick links and access to employment services, job fairs, hiring events, skills training, and helpful tips and other resources. Next slide, please. And this is a new program that we have that we wanted to share. We're going to roll this out on 1 June. We've been testing it, and so far we've gotten a lot of reception for the last few weeks. But it's the Hilton Military Honors Program, and the Hilton program is available in North Carolina now. We're one of 31 states in the nation that offer this program to our veterans community. It is designed to assist veterans, transitioning service members, our National Guard, our reserve men and women, and qualified spouses when they want to do job searches at least 40 miles away from where they're located. In short, Hilton will award 100,000 lifetime points to the individual. And the process is relatively simple. They'll need to go on to Hilton's website and log in and sign up for the program so they can receive the points. And then they can come to any one of the career centers in the state of North Carolina and be directed to a representative that will be able to assist them in applying and being awarded those points. We've started out with the NCWorks Career Centers, but our plan by the end of the year is to share that with our veteran service officers, our partners with the Veterans Bridge Home, North Carolina for Military Employment, other agencies and organizations that interact with veterans to get the word out and let them know of these opportunities if they want to apply for or attend a job fair in another location that's pretty far away from where they're particularly staying. Next slide, please. And this next slide is just the frequently asked questions. As always, you can go to the Governor's Working Group website, and I'll pull up the slides and information that I've shared, and you can pull this information out. We're working with our public affairs, and hopefully we'll have something put together. Our target date is to get this information out statewide on the 1st of June. So keep your eye out for it, listen up for it, and let us assist veterans, transitioning service members, National Guard reserves, and spouse in their job search. That's it for me, and I appreciate your time. Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you so much, Victor. We really appreciate you. Always working hard for our veterans. So next we're going to talk to some of our subcommittee chairs, and Brandon could not be with us today, but Jessica Rice is here to speak about the subcommittee on housing. Welcome, Jessica.
Hello, everyone. If you can hear me okay. My name is Jessica Rice. I'm with Asheville Boca Community Christian Ministry. I'm the Assistant Director of Housing here, just filling in for our Managing Director, Brandon Wilson. He is, as Crystal mentioned, the leader of the Subcommittee on Housing for the Governor's Working Group, and we do have some pretty exciting updates for everyone here. He's beginning to comprise that group. We do have some local NCGWGs on board, some LME MCOs. We're looking for local nonprofits and individuals from the VA and any veterans with lived experience, and that's going to be a part of the group as well. And the next meeting that we're planning on, we are going to look at some KPIs and some of the reporting features that we can bring to the Governor's Working Group on housing and some of the specifics in the regions. We're working on a mission statement and some goals for the upcoming year. We're also excited because there are some goals that have been added on a national level. If you haven't heard, there's a governor's goal for 38,000 homeless veterans to be housed by the end of this year. A lot of the VAs and local SSVF and even the grant per diem programs are on board and working towards that initiative, which we all know we've all had goals to house individuals, but this just puts it on a larger scale. And there's a lot of data work that's going into that. So we're excited to be a part of that and bring that into this subcommittee. And then we're excited to have a presence at the National Coalition for Homeless Veterans Conference in Washington, D.C. next week. We're personally taking a large group of staff, and then it'll be a chance for us to interact with some of the individuals there and key leaders in the veteran housing realm. So good things happening with the housing subcommittee. He's got a pretty good handle on what we're going to do in the upcoming months, and we're excited to report back to you guys on some of those updates. And thank you for having us.
And thank you for being here. We know that Brandon's leading a good team. Y'all do excellent work. Thank you so much. Next up, we have the Subcommittee on Employment, and I will welcome back Mr. Victor Glover.
There we go. Let me unmute myself. Apologize. Thank you. The Subcommittee on Employment. Next slide, please. Our mission statement is provide through North Carolina Department of Military and Veteran Affairs advice, council recommendations to the governor, the NC General Assembly, Secretary of NCDMVA, and other state agencies on initiatives, programs, and legislation that will enhance employment opportunities for veterans, transitioning service members, and the military spouse. Next slide. These are our 4 goals right now that we're working towards, ensuring that veterans are aware of programs they're eligible for in North Carolina, developing a briefing package that can be exported to veteran service organizations that details employment programs in North Carolina. Number 3, we want to provide education and information to veteran audiences, but also to identify programs throughout North Carolina that are serving veterans and their families. The programs are growing since COVID. There are so many more programs out there, new programs, some programs that have just grown over the last 2 years, and we intend to reach out and embrace those, bring those programs in, and share that information as well. We want to increase the number of support programs that we're involved in and that we can be more participatory in, as well as grow the capabilities with the existing programs that we're working with. Thank you. That's it, Sharon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. So next says the Subcommittee on Education, but Subcommittee on Education will be in just a moment. I actually do have Brian Ward with the Veterans Benefits Administration. He is Assistant Director at the Winston-Salem Regional Office. Brian, welcome, and thank you for bearing with us on a little bit of confusion here.
No problem. Trying to get my video. There I go. It's no problem at all, Crystal. I appreciate it. Our director here at the regional office, Winston, sends his regrets. He was unable to make it today, so I'm here for him. Just a few updates. Big historic landmark we hit on May 9th for the Veterans Benefits Administration as we processed our 1 millionth claim for the fiscal year. And our fiscal year runs from October 1st through September 30th, and this is the earliest point that VBA has ever hit that many claims completed. I can tell you that Winston-Salem is continuing to lead the nation in rating completions as well. In addition, the performance in our service center and our Veteran Readiness and Employment Division continues to be outstanding. Another update, May 2nd, effective May 2nd, normal claims processing and rating actions will resume when a veteran fails to report for an examination when it's not related to COVID-19. However, if a veteran fails to report for a VA examination and the reason cited is COVID-19, that will obviously be taken into consideration and will still be used. Another big thing that's happened is the Veterans Benefits Administration put in a lot of provisions related to education and vocational rehabilitation and employment due to COVID-19. And those provisions are expiring June 1st. I won't go over every one, but I can tell you for instance, the first one on the list, claimants during the pandemic, if they were enrolled in an in-resident facility, they got the in-resident rate, even though the facility went to, let's say, online status during the pandemic. That will change June 1st, and they can only get the in-resident rate if they're attending the in-residence school. Second one on there, work study allowances. Those payments were continuing during the pandemic, even if a veteran who was a work study participant was not able to perform those duties. That will end June 1st. And there's a few others listed there. I do have a website that'll be on a later slide that I can go over, give you that so that you can see the complete list of all the things that will end on June 1st. And go to the next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. We have a big event coming up. As most of you are aware, we participated in an event in Karee, North Carolina, Veterans Benefits Live, VA in My Town event, and it was very successful. We helped over 1,000 veterans and family members at that event, and we're going to do another one on August 18th to August 20th at the Friendship Missionary Baptist Church in Charlotte. We've held events at this location before, and I note on the slide there it says that these particular events, they at one time were called claims clinics, and we referred to them as VACs or Veterans Experience Action Centers. Well, we are now, we've changed it to Veterans Benefits Live, VA in My Town. And that's the name we're going for now. Some of the things we'll be doing, I'll just highlight a few of them. Compensation and pension benefits and services will be provided. Veteran Readiness and Employment Division will be there providing counseling, vocational rehabilitation counseling services will be provided. There will be wellness exams and on-site enrollment for VA healthcare. There'll be social services provided, as well as mental health counseling service, homeless services. Participants will include, obviously, VBA, but also VHA, as well as service organizations and community partners will all be working together at this event. Next slide. Okay, key takeaways obviously is the big COVID-19 education provisions that are expiring June 1st. You'll see that there is a website there that will give you all that information related to those provisions that are ending, and it'll provide detailed information on each. Just a reminder, the VA in My Town event will take place August 18th to 20th. And the last thing is we always remind people that we are open here in our public contact unit in Winston-Salem at 251 North Main Street. And we've been open pretty much the whole time during the pandemic. We can provide in-person services as well as virtual. Veterans can choose which they'd rather have, and you can do that by contacting, or excuse me, going to our website, and it's not on this slide, but I'll tell you what it is. It's benefits.va.gov/Winston-Salem, and there's no dash in Winston-Salem for this website. But at this website, you can veterans can schedule appointments either virtually or in person. Additionally, if you're very interested in the events and outreach we are participating in, everything we're doing across the state is on this website, so you can find that there. And I'm going to turn it back to you, Crystal. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We so look forward to our event in August, happening right here in Mecklenburg County. Next up, we have a presentation from the Education Subcommittee, and unfortunately, Brad Wren could not be with us today, so I hope that I do him justice. You can see the members to date. They have a good start on their membership there. Their mission: to build and maintain a communicative and collaborative network of key education stakeholders at UNC school systems, independent colleges and universities, in North Carolina community colleges, and other higher education agencies throughout North Carolina. So what does that mean? They want to bring veterans and those individuals who are affiliated with veterans or military affiliated individuals into our school systems and make sure that their needs are met. So this includes dependents of veterans and service members, and that's surviving or spouses, surviving spouses, or children of veterans and service members here in North Carolina. They are going to try to improve the experience for all of those individuals. Their strategic objectives are listed here. I'm not going to read through all of them, but the most important, I feel like, is sharing those comprehensive student support resources. I got to see a panel of military-involved children, so children who had been through the education on a military base, and when they went to college, things were very different for them. They have a very distinct set of challenges. So those resources are exceptionally important. It's very important to educate the staff and those families about the benefits that they have. And we have a really good system here in North Carolina. And so look forward to hearing more from our Education Subcommittee at a later time. And next up, we have the Subcommittee on Healthcare, Ms. Stephanie Young and Brian Sangetti. Welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Hey, this is Steph Young. I'm from the Asheville VA. Myself and Brian Sangetti are co-chairing the Healthcare Subcommittee. Our email addresses are there if you ever need to contact us. If you look at the next slide, it's telling us what is happening now. So currently we have our members have been identified. So we have people from Salisbury area, Durham, Asheville, and Fayetteville. We have a representative from the Vet Center and also from the VBA. Renee, if you're still on, we're trying to find a member from the DHHS. So if you can help me connect with somebody, I would really appreciate that one. So far, we have decided that we're going to ad hoc our community resource groups in. They're going to be able to share information and resources that they're able to provide and hopefully generate ideas for our group. We have held 2 meetings already. We've developed our charter and signed that charter. We have discussed our metrics and goals. Our metrics, you can see those on the slide. So we're going to do some outreach events, communication avenues, suicide prevention and program data, identifying community partners and their suicide prevention training. And also hopefully VA could assist with some specific training. We already have some best practices identified for VA helping community partners with suicide prevention. And lastly, one of our metrics is going to be doing some resource intercept mapping in North Carolina and the number of healthcare partners to really map all the resources out there and hopefully in one area so people know where to go to look when they need assistance. If we go to the next slide, it shows what's coming up next. Finalizing our mission statement. This is what we came up with to identify and disseminate best practices and resources in health and well-being, ensuring North Carolina's veterans receive safe and effective healthcare services in a culture of equity and safety. We have begun to develop our veteran resource map. And then also next, we'll be bringing in community partners to present and help us generate some ideas. If we go on to the next slide, it's basic takeaways. So our members are very excited about this charge, what we're going to be working on. In addition to that, cultivating our goals of outreach, communication, suicide prevention, and identifying partners and creating resource maps. One thing we did say that's going to be a challenge is developing a live dynamic resource is really going to be challenging for us. And that's so far what we've done. We only just started, but again, people are very excited about this. And that's what I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Steph. We appreciate that. Appreciate all you're doing outside of your normal job duties as well.
Thank you.
So our next subcommittee is my subcommittee on benefits, and we have developed our mission statement. We hope to transform the lives of North Carolina service members, veterans, and their families by advocating for benefits and meeting their needs through advocacy and coordinated action. I think one of the most important benefits that we have in North Carolina are our state and county veteran service officers. And so to grow our advocacy with that group of individuals is exceptionally important to me to advocate for incentivized legislation that meets the needs of service members, veterans, and their families. You'll see me say service members, veterans, and their families a lot because we tend to focus on veterans a lot and not so much the service members here in North Carolina. They come here in our office. We have the individuals who are serving right now who come to see us. They're doing early claims. They're getting ready to transition. So we want to make sure we include them. And then their families. We know that there are a lot of spouses, a lot of surviving spouses in North Carolina who do not understand what their benefits are with the new legislation that's come down from Congress on all of the newly added presumptive disabilities for Agent Orange exposure, the Camp Lejeune water contamination, the new Gulf War disabilities. I know that we have individuals out there who don't know, and so we really want to focus on our surviving spouses and their benefits as well. Overall, we want to increase benefits utilization through statewide coordinated action and outreach. We have members on our team from the Winston-Salem VA Regional Office, Public Contact, Chris Warges, Corey May, Robert Blankenship, always there to help us. All of the regional managers from the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, Jeremy Hughes, Edison Platt, Robert Johnson, Tony Lugo, shout out to you for being there for me and continuing to assist me in this. We also have some other county service officers who will be joining us. I probably left someone out, but our focus is going to be on working on looking at our state benefits in comparison to other state benefits, and how can we improve our state for our veterans. Again, in my opinion, we are one of the best states in the entire nation, just because of the team of service officers that we have, which are all learning how to serve our veterans with a whole health model, and looking at more than just what benefits do we have available as a state or as local governments or with federal benefits, but being able to identify resources for those service members, veterans, and their families every time one of them comes through the door. So we too will be developing information for service organizations. We will probably be pulling in some representatives from American Legion, VFW, DAV, Paralyzed Veterans of America. I've talked to them this week just about the Veterans Benefit Live that we'll do here in Mecklenburg, and having those individuals on our team is going to make this job easy for me. So thank you to everyone who's contributed. And if anyone would like to be a part of our team, you can hopefully someone maybe will put my information in the chat. Please give my email out. It's crystal.miller@mecklenburgcounty.nc.gov. So if you want to put that in the chat, if you want to be a member of this team, please feel free to reach out to me. Next up, we have the Governor's Working Group Subcommittee on Social Enrichment, and I'm going to stop sharing and allow Mr. Blake Bourne to take over. Welcome, Blake. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Crystal. Great to be with you. Let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see that.
Yes, we can see it.
Great. Thanks for the introduction, and it's an honor to serve as the Social Enrichment Subcommittee Chair for the Governor's Working Group. The big question, I think that we remind ourselves is, what do we all miss most about serving in the military? It's the people, right? It's the people that we miss most. And as we've learned throughout this work over many decades, that social capital is really a key driver for social determinants of health. We're more likely to overcome life's curveballs and thrive when we have friends and a strong social network. So it doesn't necessarily matter how it looks, whether it's workouts, lunches, volunteering, our traditional Big Six VSO. There's lots of ways that you can engage in your community and that your community wants to engage with our veterans. So our goal through this committee is to help engage and create access to the benefits that we've all earned and reduce the time to get to care. So here's our mission statement. Give you a chance to read that. But it's really about creating relationships in the communities where our veterans live, work, and play, with the agencies, the organizations, and then, of course, the statewide leadership that help derive care for them. We've got some great membership. This is just a starting list, but Mike Mertz from the Veterans Council, Victor Perez from Veterans on Wall Street, Andy Zinkovich from Humana Military, Tim Woods from the VFW, Jim Hoffman, the founder of American Heroes, and then Don Timmons from the Veterans Coffee, and Vet Carolina's Aaron Harper. Some key takeaways. If you'd like to join that subcommittee, we'd be very interested in having more membership. We're specifically looking for veteran social enrichment groups for diverse veterans, female veteran groups, faith-based veteran groups, and then also spouse and military veteran family groups. So if you are part of those groups or you know of one, please feel free to put them in touch with myself, and we'd love to have their voice also recognized so that we can inform this work most effectively. And then if you have a program that should just be included that may not have the bandwidth to be a part of the committee, but needs to be included as a key partner in social enrichment, please let us know. And then most importantly, if you are a veteran, are new to North Carolina, new to your community, or disconnected in any way, reach out and we'll make sure that we find a local veteran group or organization that can help plug you in. I'll stop sharing and hand it back to Crystal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you so much and all that you do with Veterans Bridge Home and with NC Serves in our area, connecting people to what they need. All right, next up is the subcommittee on equity in health and wellness. And one of my favorites, Mr. Dave Roddenberry. Thank you for joining us today.
That's all I needed to hear, Crystal. Thank you. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Dave Roddenberry, North Carolina Governors Institute, representing the Health, Equity, and Wellness Committee. To give you a sense of this committee, I'll actually start by sharing some of the thoughts and ideas that are driving this work. So where equality is focused on inputs, equity is focused on more outputs. So more specifically, how we get the outputs we get. So focusing on the differences in what we put into the machine and the processes inside that machine that produce the outcomes. So if you imagine two people, right? Well, John and Jane Doe. John is 6'7", 275. Jane is 5'1", 120 pounds. We didn't ask her. I never would dream of that. It's just an estimate. It's lunchtime. They're both hungry. If I gave each of them a sandwich that was equal in calories and nutrients and everything, which one is going to be hungry the soonest? It's John, right? He's a big dude. He's got a big caloric need. And so Jane, on the other hand, is the one with fewer needs, and she has a better outcome despite equal inputs. So with that in mind, this committee is looking at the veterans' health landscape. When I say health, I mean all of the social drivers of health that come into play: nutrition, built environment, socioeconomic status, what else? Social context, all of them. But we want what we want is to look here in North Carolina as compared to other states to understand where those inequities, those inequalities lie. And we want to be able to engage the experts, the communities, and our leaders with a practical set of forward-thinking solutions. What I want to emphasize is that the focus of the committee is fixed on finding and acting on barriers to care or barriers to thriving across the board. So that means what drives good versus bad health outcomes for different veterans. We aren't necessarily looking to pursue an agenda based on a single veterans group or a single background or demographic, which is why it's really critical to have a super wide representation in this group, perhaps more than any other. That said, if you want to join, we want you to join. So please reach out to me directly, or if you reach out to me and you would be happier in a different committee, I'm happy to make that connection for you if you don't have that contact information. You certainly don't have to be an expert on public health or anything. If you would go to the next slide, please, ma'am. Next steps for this group are really around membership and recruiting. We're a little further behind some of our peers. And we're looking to have an official kickoff meeting well before the August working group. So likely the second half of July. That'll give us some time to be a little bit more established as a group and whittle ourselves down to a specific set of goals. Let's go to the next slide, please. Again, more than any other, this committee will work best if we have a large and diverse group of folks that are supporting this effort. So please reach out, whether it's for yourself or you want to suggest someone. We absolutely want and need the help. And that's it for me. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Dave. And ditto to everyone on that last slide. That also holds true for the Benefits Committee. Next up, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you Ms. Karee White, with the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, presenting Hidden Heroes. Karee, thank you for being with us today. It means more than you could possibly know. I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you. And hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you a status update. This is an informational briefing to where we are in the state of North Carolina with the Elizabeth Dole Foundation in support of our hidden heroes, our military and veteran caregivers. Next slide. From the unbelievable social impact gained between caregivers over these past 10 years through the Elizabeth Dole Foundation Hidden Heroes website and Facebook group, to the awareness level that fellows like me all over the country have worked to bring our caregivers and their needs forefront and center to support their veterans and military as a team of support. This foundation has found partners in all levels of government and organizations from the local levels all the way to the national levels to better support our caregivers across the U.S. Next slide. The Elizabeth Dole Foundation is 10 years old this year, and Senator Elizabeth Dole has made this foundation's mission to serve our over 5.5 million military caregivers out there, whether they're children, that's our newest category of hidden helpers, or friends, or parents, or spouses caring for that loved one. Next slide. The foundation partnered with valuable research institutions like RAND Corporation and found compelling evidence that the state of military caregiving was nothing shy of a catastrophe. Military caregivers had been providing $14 billion a year worth of voluntary care to our nation's wounded or ill, many below the poverty line, many ill-equipped to handle the type of injury or illness of that loved one, struggling to help raise the family and handle those invisible wounds as well as outward wounds of the loved ones. And the most compelling evidence shows that a supported caregiver is the #1 factor in the health of the veteran. We know now that caregivers experience higher rates of physical and mental health problems, family strain and legal and financial challenges. Caregivers struggle with the physical and the social isolation due to America's military divide, civilian divide, and lack of widespread recognition, cutting them off from resources and support networks. We know that taking on caregiving at a younger age than civilian caregivers is common for military caregivers. In fact, almost 40% of caregivers are post 9/11 caregivers, and they're under the age of 31. We know caregivers face harder employment challenges. Nearly 1/4 of them are leaving the workforce to care for that loved one. And we also know caregivers often succumb to protracted emotional stress. Some caregivers experience distress 4 times the rate of non-caregivers, which can lead to substance abuse among caregivers, also leading to depression, suicidal thoughts, and that alarming crisis we all call caregiver burnout. Next slide. As an Elizabeth Dole Foundation Fellow for North Carolina, I'm one of this wonderful group of hundreds of fellows across the nation. I interviewed and I was selected to represent North Carolina, and I've been to DC several times to meet with other fellows, our leadership, and work with legislators on Capitol Hill on initiatives that will help our nation's caregivers. Personally, I'm part of a military family. My husband and I are both veterans. 7 of our 9 children have served, or they're still serving, and the 2 youngest aren't old enough yet. And I've been a military caregiver to my oldest daughter for these past 8 years. My journey's lifelong, and my needs have changed as time has passed. I've gained resiliency, overcome isolation, fought depression and stress, juggling family and my daughter's 24/7 total care needs. Now I'm a powerful advocate for my daughter through experience and the support of the foundation. I find much of my new normal brings me joys I did never expect I'd have. It's gratifying to volunteer for this foundation and other nonprofits. Next slide. One of the foundation's national initiatives was the Mission Act of 2018, which helped expand the VA stipends that previously had only been offered to only post 9/11 caregivers. And additionally, this has helped with reforms to many other VA caregiver supports, such as alternative community care health care options and other programs. Next slide. Most recently, our foundation has established an emergency respite relief program that's already provided over $500,000 to our military caregivers. The Elizabeth Dole Foundation has worked with the VA system, launching the Academy of Inclusive Care also, and this training program helps bring the caregivers better into the healthcare team with the veteran. Just last month, the Elizabeth Dole Act was presented to both houses of Congress to give our caregivers better supports, especially considering the recent reassessment variations that have plagued many legacy caregivers in the Program of Comprehensive Assistance for Family Caregivers. This Elizabeth Dole Act is a concrete step in the right direction to help delay the need to send our veterans to institutional care by expanding access to our home and community-based programs and increasing coordination efforts. Senator Elizabeth's legislation exemplifies her passion for finding lasting solutions for veterans that are in need of long-term care and their caregivers. Next slide. Recently, with our first academic institution in our nation to sign on as a Hidden Heroes community, Wake Tech Community College, and AARP North Carolina, and many Veteran Service Organization volunteers, we joined our efforts to gain North Carolina as the first ever veteran-friendly state in our nation this past November. This initiative was the first step in our goal to help other VSOs, Veteran Service Organizations, and government agencies through communication and support, not to duplicate efforts, but to identify ways we can accentuate the efforts to help make North Carolina more veteran-friendly. Next slide. This month, we gained our Governor's Proclamation of North Carolina as the 9th Hidden Heroes state in our nation. This proclamation gives us the fuel to continue our mission to advocate for our military caregivers in this state and will guide us in our work to bring more supports for our caregivers in areas such as job opportunities, training, respite, and other inclusive efforts. Next slide. I have a call to action to each of you. You know, in Abraham Lincoln's second inaugural address, when he spoke to the deep wounds of the Civil War, in a nation still divided, he spoke of binding up our nation's wounds. Quote, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and his orphan, end quote. This commitment by our president over 150 years ago addresses our national commitment to this through the VA in support of our heroes, our veterans. Paramount to this, we must also support those hidden heroes, those who are serving their nation after the battle, to care for our heroes every single day. And with this purpose, the Elizabeth Dole Foundation has sought to help weave our caregivers back into the very fabric of our communities. A veteran's only as successful in reintegrating as their team of support. Our hidden heroes and family members, as hidden helpers too, make up this team. We need everyone's support to help with this. Share our website. And thank you all so much for listening.
I'm going to leave that up for just a moment. Karee, thank you so much for being with us today. Shout out to all of our veteran service officers. We see those caregivers. They come into these offices with their veterans. They contact us about their veterans. Please make sure that you connect them to Karee so that they can reap some of the benefits that they have with this Hidden Heroes organization. A lot of our veterans caregivers are not eligible for the caregiver program stipend. A lot of times they just don't know what's available to them, and this is where they can find out what resources are available. Again, Karee, I'm speechless. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you so much for caring about those who care for our service members and veterans. Next up, our next meeting is going to be June 23rd, 2022. We will be back in person at the North Carolina National Guard Joint Force headquarters. We hope to see you there. We will still broadcast live, so you still can tune in to see us, but we really look forward to having a room full of people and getting back to a little bit of normal. Again, register for the email updates at ncgwg.org. If you cannot join us in person, you may still join us at facebook.com/GOVINST. And we appreciate you being with us today. Again, if you have any questions for us, make sure you put those in the chat. Leave contact information if you would like, and we will get in touch with you. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful afternoon.